Good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Mindful Connection Happy Hour number 10. That's where we're at right now, which is kind of exciting in terms of just, we've gotten through 10 weeks together, and that's saying something. So I guess I should say congratulations to all of us for whatever this journey has brought us. Really feeling like, coming together in this way and building community and all of that, I think is really, really important. So as always, the way I like to start off is to turn our focus to the origins of mindfulness, thinking about where it came from in light of cultural appropriation, and feeling like honoring where it came from is one way of really not culturally appropriating something that is not originally from someone who looks like me with white skin. So I'd like to turn our focus to that idea that it is an ancient practice. It's comes from religious and spiritual roots in many different religious cultures, Hinduism, Buddhism, and many other Eastern and indigenous cultures as well. And I always like to start off by honoring the land that we're on and all those who lived on the land before it was stolen. I invite folks to actually do some research to figure out whose land you're living on. Where did that come from? That's a whole, there's a whole field in the social justice movement of doing that, to think about, stolen land. So what does that look like for each of us, where we come from? I like to also honor all of the enslaved peoples who were transported against their will, and whose blood, sweat, and tears birthed our nation, the nation in which we live. We honor all of those who have chosen to live, work, and sacrifice in service to provide a sense of freedom and welfare for all. And as always, as we've been doing for 10 weeks now, we want to honor the brave healthcare workers, grocery workers, delivery workers, and all other service workers who are on the front lines, putting the good and welfare of humanity above their own. I would like to honor especially the worker at my own grocery store who passed this past week from COVID. So with that, please join me in a moment of gratitude for all the people I just mentioned and anyone else you'd like to honor at this time. So we take a deep breath in gratitude, and exhale, and together we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. So as usual, I'm gonna start off with a guided meditation, and then we'll spend some time in silence for 5 to 7 minutes, and then I'll come back and do a closing exercise. So that's kind of how it goes. This week, I want to focus specifically on what we call in yoga, which I brought this up before, but what we call in yoga, root to rise, root to rise. And it's just exactly what it sounds like, that as we root ourselves in the earth, we're grounding ourselves. And the more grounded we are, the more we can lift ourselves up. So we root down to rise up. That's how that works. And so that was sort of what I wanted to offer this week. And in doing that, we're gonna do we're gonna focus on 3 different areas in our bodies, and, starting with grounding and going up from there. So there'll be a grounding practice, a heart practice, and then sort of a universal connection practice. So all three of those together are rooting down, and then as we come through our bodies to rise up. That's sort of the theme that I wanted to do today. So I'm going to start us off inviting you all to just focus on your bodies right now and just notice your breath. And if you would like to, feel free to close your eyes or gaze down. Just notice how your breath is doing right now. Notice how your body is doing right now. Notice if there's any place in your body that feels in any way tense or in pain or anxious. And as you inhale, just focus on those areas. And as you exhale, go ahead and breathe some love and light into those areas. And continue to do so at your own pace for a moment. Just settling into this moment. I'm going to start us off with a grounding practice. The focus to start off is in your hips or the base of your spine. And I'm going to invite you to imagine a red light in that area glowing. And as it's glowing, it's rooting down to the earth. So just imagine a red light at the base of your spine, glowing bright and rooting down, shining its light downward towards the earth. And each time you inhale, you focus on the light, growing the light. And as you exhale, see if you can expand it down towards the earth. As though you're rooting into the earth. And as you are doing that, perhaps you can ask yourself, how do you connect to the earth? In what ways do you connect to the earth? Perhaps that has to do with gardening this time of year. Perhaps it has to do with just walking outside or just being outside and connecting to nature. Whatever that means to you, whatever comes up for you. And I always like to, as you're inhaling, focus on gratitude. And as you exhale, see if you can put some thankful energy, some energy of gratitude into the earth for all the earth does for us. In connection to the symbiotic relationship we have with the earth. It takes care of us, and hopefully we take care of it. Take one more deep breath here. And exhale. And then allow your attention to rise up your spine towards your heart center, towards your heart space. Just let your attention, your focus settle on that heart space. And imagine a green light shining brightly in your heart space. And as you inhale, you focus on that space. And as you exhale, allow that green light to glow and to grow and expand out away from you. So beyond your body, beyond that heart space, beyond your skin, out into the world. So your inhale is focusing on the green light, and the exhale is expanding that light outward. And as you do so, perhaps consider how you connect with others. So if we started with the connection to the earth, this is the connection to others. The heart space is the space of connection, the space of love, obviously. What do we bring? How do we show up when we're with other people, when we're connecting with them? And one more deep inhale here. And as you exhale, bring some gratitude for those connections that you have, the love and connection that you have towards others, and the connection they have with you. And then finally, I'm going to ask you to draw your attention to the crown of your head. And in this space, I invite you to picture a violet light. As you inhale, picture the violet light at the crown of your head. As you exhale, allow it to grow and expand upwards. This is what we think about as a universal connection to something greater than yourself. Inhaling, picturing that violet light, and exhaling, allowing it to expand upwards. As you do so, you might consider, how do you connect with your highest self? Or how do you connect with the universe or the divine? Whatever works, whatever language works for you there. The idea is, how are you in alignment with your best self? Taking one more inhale here with all kinds of gratitude. Exhaling that bright light, the bright violet light upwards. Just notice how your body feels now after we've been through those three areas in your life, rooting down, coming to the heart space, and rising up. I invite you to root to rise, meaning inhaling from the base of your spine, drawing the energy up your spine, and exhaling that violet light out the top of your head. And I invite you to continue that process of inhaling from the base of the spine, drawing your energy and the air in your lungs all the way up through your heart center, all the way up, out the top of the crown of your head. And I am going to invite you to do that for a few minutes on your own. And if your thoughts, your mind tends to wander, just remember at some point you will likely remember to come back and just continue the process of inhaling from the base of your spine and exhaling out the crown of your head. See how long you can do that practice until you forget again, because that's what our minds do. And then when you remember, come back and try it again. Just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. When you're ready, moving your fingers and your toes, coming back to the space that you're in. And I invite you to consider this idea of root to rise in your life. How can you take that practice with you? Thinking about how you connect with the earth, hopefully on a daily basis. What does that look like for you? How might you bring your best self when you show up and connect with others? Whether it's on the phone or on Zoom or however else you're connecting. And then finally, how can you lift yourself up to bring yourself into alignment with your highest self? So that that's how you're going through your life, going through your day. I encourage you to consider how root to rise might affect you and might affect your life. And I really appreciate your time this evening with me. And I hope you enjoy the week ahead. Namaste. Mm-hmm.